Namaskar. I Shambhavi welcome you all to your channel Galactic Echoes. So let's start exploring the wisdom of Vedic astrology. And today we'll be doing the Jupiter's transit into the sign of Cancer. And how will this transit manifest in your life? What positive or negative outcomes it can give because of you being a particular ascendant. We'll try to figure it out in this video. So let's start the video and let's dive in. So first of all, we'll have to see some basic concepts which this transit will portray, because it is a complex transit, because Jupiter is entering into the sign of Cancer on the 18th of October and it will start retrograding in a very small amount of, after a few days, which is on 11th of November it will start retrograding and it will come back to the sign of Gemini and it will re-enter the sign of Gemini on 5th of December 2025. So you see, this is a complex kind of a transit. It is not particularly Jupiter's transit into the sign of Cancer. It has complexities in it. Why? Because Jupiter enters into the sign of Cancer, it hits Punarvasu Nakshatra and it starts retrograding there, and with this retrograde motion it transits back into the sign of Gemini again to display its effects in both the signs, in the sign of Cancer also, in the sign of Gemini also. So it is a different kind of a transit which we'll have to study from a different perspective today. So we'll be starting the video with Aries rising in your D1 chart. When you have the Aries rising in your D1 chart and this Jupiter transits into the sign of Cancer in your 4th house, so in the first phase it will give basic expansion and growth in your 4th house. So basically cleaning your space, your home, your ideas, your personal beliefs, your basically home environment. And this does not mean in physical sense, this can also mean in mental sense also, that you are cleaning off the toxicity which was present in your home till now and you want to focus more on growth and more on philosophy, more on nurturing, and the Jupiter will give that kind of expansion in your 4th house. So benefic energy will be playing out in your 4th house when this Jupiter will transit into the sign of Cancer in the 4th house of yours. Now it hits this Punarvasu Nakshatra and it gets retrograde. It comes back to this particular sign of Gemini in your 3rd house. So what we see is that with first phase of Jupiter's motion transit into the sign of Cancer, it activates your Moksha Trikona. You see the Trikona of philosophy, liberation, understanding other worldly matters, all of these things, and then it retrogrades and comes back to the sign of Gemini. There is where you understand more of a communicative thing, more of a desire, more of a worldly material pleasure is what is associated with the 3rd house. Why? Because the Gemini sign, the 3rd house, is your Kam Trikona. Kam Trikona gets activated again because it has been activated now. Jupiter has been transiting in the sign of Gemini till now. So what you can expect out of this particular transit, this particular retrogression of Jupiter and re-entering in the Gemini sign, is that you will feel creating more meaningful kind of relationship with your co-workers, with your colleagues, with your siblings, that you would want to make a relation or mend a relation which was damaged before, and you would want it to prosper now, and you want to build that relationship which you can nurture throughout your life in this phase. And you will do that also. Why? Because your efforts will be also more spiritually guided, will be more, they will be more benefic in nature, they will be more leaning towards acceptance with this Jupiter in the retrograde motion in the 3rd house. It can also mean that re-entering of blessings in your life can also be seen, that whatever effort you would have done before in your this year when Jupiter was transiting in the sign of Gemini, the fruits, you will be reaping the fruits of your efforts in this retrograde motion of the Jupiter from December of 5th till the February of 2026. There is where this is the window where you can feel that efforts you had put into something earlier are now manifesting as fruits of that particular effort of yours with this retrogression of the Jupiter in the 3rd house. The other thing is that you can also see some homecoming sort of a thing from your sibling, your co-worker, your personal environment. Like whatever kind of efforts you will put into the Jupiter's transit into the sign of Cancer, you will feel it, you will immediately feel the results in your personal environment. Like around you, you will feel that yes, something is happening and I'm feeling better than before. Yes, something is happening and I'm more prosperous. I feel more fulfillment than before. So this particular transit of yours, Jupiter into the sign of Cancer and retrogrades coming back to the sign of Gemini, can be a land of opportunities for you, can be a phase of opportunities for you. Whatever efforts you will put into something, they will be expanded. You will see the result which is 100 times or this 50 times expanded than what you put in. This is really a good phase. If you have good placement of Jupiter in your chart, it is not damaged in any case to start something new, to put effort into something new with this particular Aries rising. If you are in your D1 chart and you have Aries rising in your D1 chart, it should not be a moon sign. It can be a moon sign if moon is placed in the 1st house. Otherwise, what I am talking about is not moon sign but your rising, D1 rising. So this is how you will interpret this transit of Jupiter into the sign of Cancer, retrograding and coming back again into the sign of Gemini. But yes, you'll have to, you will see a shift of theme, because retrograde motion brings back something which was previously done and then it re-enters your life. So what kind of person it is associated with? So it can bring person also, like people you have met before but you tried to put your efforts with them, or you both wanted to work as a team, but now can be the time that you both get opportunity. Now which person is it? That will be dependent on the particular position of your Jupiter in the D1 chart. So basically this is how you will study this transit. It is a complex transit because so many things are involved here. Punarvasu nakshatra is also involved here. So aiming and reaching the goal are also the themes playing out here. That is why I told you that coming back of some person whom you wanted to team up with to aim or achieve something can now be done in this period. But for that we'll have to check the Jupiter's placement on your D1, in your D1 chart, in your D9 chart, and all of those calculations will be needed. But in the basic terms, this transit will be fruitful and benefic in your life. So let's move forward and let's understand the transit of the Jupiter into the sign of Cancer for Taurus ascendants. So when you have Taurus rising in your D1 chart, it is not the moon sign which I am talking about, it is the D1 rising, D1 ascendant in your chart. So this Jupiter's transit will be happening in the 3rd house of your D1 chart. So what you can see is that your efforts, your communication, the technology you use will be expanded. It will see a kind of growth after some initial challenges. So this mid period in which this initial phase of Jupiter going into the sign of Cancer, then retrograding, this particular phase before retrogression of the Jupiter can be something not very benefic for you. Maybe you are doing something and it suddenly stops, this device, this can happen, but it won't be that bad. So the initial challenges will be seen in this transit, particularly if you are a Taurus rising. Now Jupiter will be expanding, so your efforts and your parakram, your purusharth will be expanded. It will become more meaningful, more wisdomful, more guided, more spiritual. You would not want to engage in any bad talks, any bad communications, or extracting any schemes which make profits from some different means, which can get you profit from some different negative means, like hurting someone else and you getting profit out of it. So all of these things will be seen that you will be more guided in your efforts, you will be more spiritually inclined in your efforts. Now this Jupiter retrogrades. It starts retrograding in the nakshatra of Punarvasu, and it comes back to your second house. So now here, what is the theme which will play out for you, particularly Taurus risings? It would be that you will get a second chance to solidify your financial status or financial stability. If you had some kind of financial trouble earlier this year, so you will get a second chance with this Jupiter to solidify it, to mend your mistakes. Now it can also revolve around your speech, your face, your family, your self-worth, your this financial hoarded wealth, and many more things, of which second house is the karaka of. But basically, most importantly, it's about money. It's about financial matters. Why? Because Gemini sign falls in your second house, and Mercury is in some way the karaka of money. So that is why money is on the focus here. So this chance which will be given, this second chance which will be given to you by Jupiter, you should take the opportunity, you should grab this opportunity up to your complete extent. This is very necessary. Why? If you leave this, if you let it go, the things can become more worse. So the Jupiter's retrogression is something, or achieving that goal which you decided that whenever I'll get the chance, I'll correct those mistakes. So correcting the mistakes is the aim. Financial mistakes is the aim for you guys for this particular transit, for this particular phase of Jupiter being retrograde in the sign of Gemini, after entering the and coming back from Cancer. So this is particular thing. Also, this Jupiter's transit will give you a desire of taking informed, learned and wise decisions, of writing, speaking and communicating, so that you could get back your financial stability and you can nourish your family. This is what will be the theme for you guys in this particular period. Your Earth Trikon is getting connected to your Kam Trikon. So you see, the desire for stability will be very much enhanced in this particular phase of Jupiter going into Cancer, retrograding and coming back to the sign of Gemini. So the desire of stability, desire of wealth, desire of even stability in career will be very much enhanced. But why am I telling it about only financial status? Because of the fact that particular second house is associated with money. The other thing is that you can also see a job offer coming back to you, which you rejected like maybe a year ago or some time ago. It will come back to you. That same company will approach you again. This and again to give you more, like the offer will be better, whatever job you are doing in specifically. So this can also be seen with this particular placement, with this particular transit of the Jupiter, that because of the fact that you are being given a career opportunity to make you more financially stabilized, and it is given by some company which you already contacted with, and due to some reasons you did not fit in the offer and you rejected it. So this is the theme in this transit for you guys. So there is a shift from the third house to the second house matters. So the communication, writing, teaching, technology, desires, all will be shifted into the second house. It would be more stability, financial, relatives, family, face, speech, voice, all of these things, sensory pleasures, and sensory pleasures are also the karaka of financial stability, you see. So all of these things are indicating to the fact that financial stability can be achieved in this period if you give proper efforts. And where are these efforts are to be given? For that specifically, you will have to check the Jupiter's placement in your D1 chart, where it is sitting, in what sign, in what house. There is where you will have to work a lot. For example, if your Jupiter is sitting in the 10th house, so what you have to do is that you will have to make your speech, communication skills more wise at the career front. If it is in the 4th house, it is more about your home life. You will have to communicate in a good way, in a good manner to your family members, to your parents, to your spouse, to your children. So this is how you will interpret this transit of the Jupiter in the sign of Cancer and Gemini, retrograde, in retrograde motion. But overall theme is kind of a very roller coaster ride for you guys. Initially it's about challenges, then you feel that it is not happening and my life is on the same track, I am feeling depressed. But then yes, you will get the opportunity which you are destined for, which you are viable for with this particular transit of the Jupiter in 2025. Now let's move forward and let's understand the transit of the Jupiter for the Gemini ascendants. Now when you are Gemini rising in your D1 chart, that is, you are Gemini ascendant in your D1 chart, I am not talking about the moon sign. So with this particular transit, the Jupiter will be entering your second house in the sign of Cancer, and the Jupiter will start retrograding in the sign of in the nakshatra of Punarvasu and will re-enter the sign of Gemini on around 5th of December 2025. So this complete transit is a kind of a complex transit, but we'll try to figure it out technically step by step. So first we'll start with the first phase of the Jupiter entering into the sign of Cancer. So basically it will give expansion in your hoarded wealth, in your family. So new family member can be, you can see coming in your family. You can also see your bank account, the balance going like increasing. Now not drastically if the Jupiter is not well placed, but yes, you will see some kind of increment in your bank balance. The other thing is that your self-worth, your family values will be more spiritually inclined, will get more spiritually inclined, more wise, more informed, and get more kind of a benefic in nature. Your self-worth, your family values, all of these things. And you will eat well, have good skincare routine with this particular placement, with this particular transit of the Jupiter. This is the first phase of Jupiter. Now what happens, it starts retrograding in the nakshatra of Punarvasu. And Punarvasu nakshatra, although I'll make a separate video on the nakshatra, but it is more about achieving something, goal orientedness, target hitting the target. So what happens is that when this Jupiter starts retrograding there and it re-enters the sign of Gemini, you will see that you will, with your wisdom, with your learning, with your spiritual beliefs and spiritual inclination and the things you have learned in the first phase of Jupiter transit in the Cancer, you will be applying all of these things on your own self, on your own body, on your own presence. So everything will start manifesting in your brain 24/7. You see, so this is something which you can feel like you are more drawn to philosophy kind of subjects. What is life? Where are we from? Where this earth is? What is space? And all of these subjects will entice you a lot. Like these metaphorical questions, you will also try to search for your own spiritual identity. That why am I here? Who am I? Who am I praying to? And all of these questions will entice you a lot. So it will be a phase of introspection, of deep introspection in your life. And that deep introspection is spiritual in nature, but it is logically led. It is very Mercurian in nature. Why? Because Jupiter is retrograding in the sign of Gemini in the first house. You can also see that you bring in those values which you have made, which you have learned from your family on your personality. So maybe you were more modernizing. You were loving more modern cultures, Western cultures, to be specific with this particular placement. And for the West people it is about the East, but basically you were more on the modernizing side of the life. Like, what is it? We should party till late, we are young, and we should be engaging in all sorts of sensory pleasures present in the world because we are young. Now this Jupiter transit into the sign of Cancer will bring in self evaluation, which you will do on yourself. Is this only life all about? All of these questions is something you will ask yourself and you will want to find answers to in this transit. So it is really a very blossoming kind of a transit for all of you Gemini risings in your D1 chart, because you will question all of these things, and when you will find the answer, you will get to know more things, you will learn more things, and that wisdom of Jupiter which it carries will be understood by your soul, by your brain in this particular phase of the retrograding Jupiter. On the more it is all of these things are more on the spiritual level. But if, let's say, if your Jupiter is more of a materialistic in nature in your particular chart, the materialistic level of this same particular thing will be that whatever you have gained and whatever has expanded in your family, in your wealth, in this first phase of the Jupiter, and when the Jupiter will retrograde, you would want all of these things to affect your body, to affect yourself, to affect your physical self. So that could mean, in the most basic terms, that if you'll get increment in your salary, or if your bank account will go up, you will want to purchase new things for yourself, maybe a brand new AirPods, or something technologically oriented, have the desire of purchasing the new iPhone. All of these things will happen. If your Jupiter is more materialistic in the nature in your particular D1 chart, that will have to analyze. But yes, desire of something and logic will be intertwined in this transit for all of you people. So first of all, in the first phase, it is all about the second house matter. It is about your self-worth, about your family, about yourself, about your hoarded wealth. And in the later stage, in this particular year 2025, it is all about your own self, how the second house is feeding you, how the second house is helping you. So you yourself will become the most important subject for yourself in this period of the second phase. In this period of the retrograding Jupiter, you would want to draw the conclusions which are directly impacting you. You would always question something, if it is good or bad. You will start categorizing everything in this period, in this transit. Is it good or bad? Because it is affecting in a positive way to you particularly, so it is good. And if it is affecting you in a negative way, so that is bad. So this is how your transit will be seen. Now here, because your self, your physical self, your body is involved, so you'll have to definitely check the placement of the Jupiter in your D1 chart, where it is going, what is happening, what is the sign it is sitting in, what is the nakshatra it is sitting in. All of those things will give you a definite picture what is happening. But all the targets, all the aims, all the goals will be your personal motives in this transit, which you will desire to fulfill, and you can fulfill if you put in the right amount of efforts in yourself, in your body, in your personality. So this is how you will read this transit of the Jupiter. Let's move forward and let's understand the transit of Jupiter for Cancer risings. Now, if you are Cancer rising in your D1 chart, so this Jupiter transit in the sign of Cancer will be happening in your first house. So the first phase of the Jupiter's transit into the sign of Cancer till 11th of November will bring expansion in your personality, in yourself, in your values, in your beliefs, how you see the world. So it will get more comfortable with you particularly. This Jupiter will bring all the blessings, all the joy in your life in the first phase, and you will feel more comfortable and more prosperous in your life. For all the Cancer risings, this is going to happen. Now when it starts retrograding in the nakshatra of Punarvasu, and it re-enters the sign of Gemini on the 11th of, I believe, on the 5th of December 2025. Now what this retrograde motion of the Jupiter will show is that whatever blessings you had in the first phase of the Jupiter regarding yourself, regarding your life, will now be evaluated in isolation, in relation to liberation, moksha, spiritualism, and all of these subconscious matters. Now what does that mean? It means that somewhere in your mind you are fulfilled, like somewhere in your mind, in your subconscious mind, you feel that something is not correct, something is not right, That is why you are evaluating, you are re-evaluating this particular prosperity, expansion, growth of yourself or your physical self, of your body, of your life, in your subconscious mind, in isolation. That is my life going in the correct direction? Is this the correct guidance I am getting? Is this completely true or not? Is there a layer behind this particular manifestation or not? These all things you will feel and you will face in the retrograde period, in the second phase of the Jupiter's transit. So the prosperity and all of these things you felt will be somehow evaluated in the 12th house. Now this can also mean that you get a job in a foreign land when this transit begins and you are relocated to a new place. It is a foreign land, and when the Jupiter will retrograde and come back to the sign of Gemini in your 12th house, you will start logically analyzing, is this good or bad? Is that what I wanted? And is it something which I targeted to achieve? All of these questions will be asked by you in this particular phase, in this particular period. And remember this, you will have to manage it on a very spiritual level. You see, don't get into materialistic bondings, like because you are very family oriented persons. Emotions matter a lot to you with this Cancer rising, and Jupiter gets Digbal in the first house. It will get exalted in the first house. Now I am not saying for the people for whom it is a Jupiter return. For them it will be completely a different thing. But if you do not have Jupiter in the first house in your natal chart exalted, so this period can be felt by you people quite confusing, because Jupiter has been transiting in the sign of Gemini since this 2025, and you people are really connected to spirituality, to all the other worldly matters, to liberation, moksha and everything. But when this Jupiter enters the first house and then come back to the 12th house, it creates a kind of a dilemma in front of everyone, and people specifically who are Cancer risings, they fell into this trap of the Jupiter. Now here it plays, the Jupiter's position in your D1 chart plays a major role, where it is sitting, in what way it is behaving, in what realm it will bring the confusion. Is it about gains? Is it about social circle? Is it about prosperity? Is it about family? Is it about career? Is it about spouse? Is it about married life? All of those things will be decoded there. But Jupiter is some kind of a planet for Cancer risings that you will have to understand it. It can create problems in your life. It can create problems in your life, because Jupiter, extremely benefic energies flowing into this world. We are living in Kali Yuga and we cannot afford that. You will have to have this kind of Saturnish Martian aspect in your life, in your personality, so that you can fight with the world. So whenever you get confused, the only thing which you can do is, in this particular phase, call your mother or your gurus, your mentors, to seek guidance. What should be done, what should not be done, is it correct, is it the correct way, is it the correct direction I am moving towards or not. So all of these things will matter a lot. All of these things will be questioned by you. So this is kind of a paradox which is being created. Why? Because see, the Dharma Trikona is getting attached with Moksha Trikona, and the Moksha Trikona is more of a water element and Dharma Trikona is fire. So opposite energies are combining in this transit, in this particular phase of Jupiter, till the Jupiter will be retrograding in the sign of Gemini, because it has entered the sign of Cancer and it has hit the Punarvasu Nakshatra. That is why all of these things are happening. The retrograde motion is, the retrograde motion of the Sagittarius Jupiter is getting more complex. So the only remedy which you people can do is contact your gurus, mentors or mother. They will be the people who will help you out in this phase of confusion. Otherwise, if you have that clarity in your life, if you have that have that solid direction and guidance in your life. The confusion will be created, but it will be mitigated by your own reasoning and logic, because Gemini is also the sign of reasoning and logic, and Mercury will play also a very major role. You will also question your career paths and career choices in this transit. All of these things will also happen, but because Saturn is transiting in the sign of Pisces, and Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. But is this Saturn transit and Jupiter transit is going to give you a lot of problems? That will be only judged by your particular D1 chart, where Jupiter and Saturn are sitting in the natal positions. Also, the Ashtavakra chart, go to your Ashtavakra chart and see how many points Jupiter has given in the Gemini sign and in the Cancer. From there you will get to know what is exactly happening in your chart. All of these things will matter a lot, but yes, I should say, and I can always say that you should not trap into these problems. Like you will see some dreams in your sleep, and you'll think that yes, you'll overthink on those topics, on those subjects, and there is where the problem can be created from, because dreams are the projection of our subconscious mind. So when these things will be projected and these things will be asked by you, you'll feel confused, you will feel lost in some cases if Jupiter is not well placed in your chart. So for that you'll have to check what is happening, what is not. Your D1 placements will matter a lot, the moon's placement will matter a lot, and all of these things will matter a lot. Yes, Saturn will also play a major role, but in the most basic term, confusion will be created. You will question yourself, you will question the blessings in your life. Is this something which you wanted or not? And you will have to seek guidance, you will have to seek direction from your gurus, from your mentors, and from your mother specifically. So let's move forward and let's understand the transit of Jupiter into the sign of Cancer for Leo ascendants. Now if you are a Leo rising in your D1 chart, particularly, what you will see in this particular transit of the Jupiter in the first phase, when this Jupiter will enter the sign of Cancer, is that it will give expansion to your emotions, to your isolated settings, your private rooms. So you will feel more comfortable, more cozier in your bedroom. The other thing is that it will give expansion to your foreign connections also. So maybe in some way you connect with people, you connect with more intellectual people than before, and they are all foreigners in your specific case, all the Leo ascendants. The other thing is that this Jupiter, because it will be in trine to your Saturn, is giving this indication that these foreign connections will boost your career in some way, because Saturn in your chart is particularly making a Vipreet Rajyog, 6th lord sitting in the 8th house in the transit. So this kind of the problems which you have been facing in your professional front, and all of these things will be more mitigated, and solutions to all of those problems will be followed in this first phase of Jupiter. Now what happens is, now Jupiter starts retrograding in the nakshatra of Punarvasu, and it comes back to your 11th house, the sign of Gemini. So what it will bring is kind of a return of favors in your life, that you did something for someone before and now he is coming back in your life. He or she is a foreign connection, and he is boosting your gains, your social circle, your desires, your hopes, your wishes. All of these things will be happening, that they are coming back and they are helping you out to achieve something which was a long held dream in your particular case. With this Jupiter transit in the 11th house. The other thing is that your connections will, your social circle and your connections will get more meaningful, and they will be more Jupiter inclined. So basically they will be sharing ample amount of knowledge with you. You will be engaging with more wise people in this particular retrograde second phase of the Jupiter in the retrograde motion. You will feel more happier. Why? Because exalted Jupiters effect are being felt in your 11th house. So your 11th house gets expanded and in a more benefic way. You see, more technologically, you can also see technological advancements in your social circle, in your gains. So maybe if you were dealing in cash, you will make your UPI ID, so that people can send you money via using technology. All of these things will happen. And the other thing is that you will see that your income specifically is coming either through communicating in foreign lands, teaching in foreign lands, or writing in foreign lands. So basically, if you are writing in a foreign language, that is, if you speak Hindi, you are writing in English, or if you speak some other native language and you are working for some other people who speak something else, those all things will boost your income, will boost your gains. Your collaborations will become more intellectual. Whatever mundane topics, subjects you were working on will be put on hold for this period, and more intellectual ones will be followed in this particular phase when the Jupiter is retrograding. You can also meet some gurus or mentors, like people who were in that higher pedestal and you had met them before in your life. They'll come back, and with their coming back, your opportunities, your desires, your gains will also be manifested. All of these things will be manifested in your life, that they'll give you some kind of a gain. They will help you to achieve your long held goal, or they will help you to bring more intellectual collaborations or work on those intellectual collaborations, because they are ready to collaborate with you. All of these things will happen. So for Leo risings, it is really a good time to give a different kind of a specific turn at your career front, because gains are directly related to career, and Saturn is also transiting in the sign of Pisces in your 8th house, forming a Viprit Rajyog. So it is really a good time to put efforts in your social circle, in the technological ways, connecting with people via technological ways, so that you can get good gains out of it. It will be really a blessed period for all of you. When Jupiter will again transit into the sign of Cancer, I'll make a video separately on that in 2026. But for this particular period, Jupiter entering in the sign of Cancer in the first phase, retrograding and coming back to the sign of Gemini in your 11th house, the second phase, all of these things which I have shared with you all will be major milestones which you will see in your life, which you will see particularly in your professional life. So I wish you all the very best with this particular placement, with this particular transit. I believe that yes, Jupiter will really help you a lot in your career front, and it will help you to give sudden opportunities coming from the foreign land, and not even from the foreign land, from the foreign people. Even if you are working with them in some country or some city, but they will be of foreign origin. They don't speak the language which is your native language. So this is what will be the interpretation of this Jupiter transit into the sign of Cancer. Let's move forward and let's understand the transit of Jupiter for all the Virgo ascendants. So for all the Virgo risings, this Jupiter's transit into the sign of Cancer will be happening in your 11th house. Now the interpretation will differ a lot. Now the interpretation will differ slightly if you are having your Jupiter return this year, but in the most basic terms, some points will remain same. So the first thing which you will see is that this Jupiter, the phase 1 of Jupiter entering into the sign of Cancer, will bring expansion in your social circles, gains, your hopes, wishes, desires. You would want to think big. You would want to desire, you would want to achieve that goal which you felt was unachievable in childhood, or in some earlier days in your life. You'll think that this is the time and I should specifically focus on that particular goal of mine. Now what happens is that this Jupiter enters the nakshatra of Punarvasu and it starts retrograding from there, and on the 5th of December 2025 it re-enters the sign of Gemini in the 10th house. So what happens is that the Jupiter re-entering into the sign of Gemini will bring different kind of results here. So what you will see is that you will want to focus on those career goals which you thought were not possible, which were your desires sometime in your life earlier, but you thought that these are not possible to achieve in this lifetime, and I should move on to a different goal, I should move on to a different career path. This Jupiter will bring back that desire of that particular career in your life in this transit, in this retrograde motion in the Gemini sign, and you will feel that you are being given a second chance to re-attempt this particular career opportunity, this particular career goal. So you would want to give it a second shot, and in some ways, if the Jupiter is well placed in your D1 chart, that shot, this second attempt, can get you more stabilized in the career. It can enhance your public reputation, your public dignity, and it can make you more, and it can make your workplace more expanded than before, whatever you are doing right now. So what you will see is that the Jupiter is trying to bring those opportunities, those hopes, wishes, desires, and those benefic nature in your career, at your career front. You will think more wisely, more logically. Yes, I'm not saying that you will shut down completely whatever you are working and you'll just move on to a different path. This is not going to happen, and this is something which you should not do either. But what you will think is logically that I think I should what I think is that I should take out time from my busy schedule, and I should give this career path, this career choice which I abandoned years ago, a second chance with this particular Jupiter's transit. And that can make you actually this second attempt to this particular career goal can establish you as a more intellectual person too. So whatever you are doing is not a mundane job. Whatever you are aiming at is not something that you are switching companies, you are working here, then you are working there. It is the same kind of job. No, this is not going to happen. It is a completely different thing which you can do. This is also about your skill which you have, because all the Virgo risings, their career is actually related to a kind of skill which they can do. It can be anything, maybe writing, maybe doing something with their hands, maybe art, maybe craft, or maybe they are good in communication. It can be a communicative skill. All of these things can happen, and they will be there for all the Virgo risings. I have seen all the Virgo risings having a kind of skill which they can monetize easily. But this Jupiter is here to give you all the confidence to move on, to shift your life into that gear, into that career path. This is something which can happen with you people. Your reputation will be enhanced, your work front will be expanded. So maybe you were working with 500 people, now you are daily meeting 20 different people. This kind of a career shift can happen, and the skill will be more enhanced. You will feel that you have become more wise, and you have gained more wisdom over time regarding this particular skill which you are aiming to monetize. This can also happen. The other thing is that this Jupiter will give you benefic results at your career front. So even if you do not change career specifically or career path specifically, you will add on a new skill in your existing job to make it more of a productive sort of a nature. So yes, this Jupiter is definitely going to bring some kind of positive outcomes at your career front. Now what those outcomes will be, that will be defined by the Jupiter's placement in your D1 chart, the marks it has given in the Cancer and in the sign of Gemini in your Ashtak chart, its placement in the D9. All of these things will matter a lot. But yes, there is some kind of a professional career benefic shift which you will be feeling. Let's move forward and let's understand the transit of Jupiter for all the Libra risings. So for all the Libra risings in their D1 chart, this Jupiter's transit will be happening in your 10th house in the sign of Cancer. So the first phase of the Jupiter will be bringing in expansion, hope, wishes, desires and fulfillment of these hopes, wishes and desires at your career front. It will also boost your social status in some way. It will also help you to bring in some kind of values to your career front. You will feel more learned, more meaningful at your career front. That you would say in this period that this is something particularly which I always wanted to do, and here I am receiving all the blessings in the world from everyone. So you'll also get the support of the people, of everyone, whatever you are doing at your work front. Now this Jupiter starts retrograding in this nakshatra of Punarvasu and it re-enters the sign of Gemini. So what it will bring is fortune. Whatever social status, something which you have achieved in your career, which is bringing all of these positivity in your life, will also bring luck, fortune and wealth in your life. You will feel that you are very lucky to have all of these things in your life. You are very lucky to experience all of these things in your life. So Jupiter transit for all the Libra risings is really going to bring in positivity. It will bring in all the benefic things out there in the world. It will bring in everything which you desire, and it will happen actually. So the 10th house is getting connected with the 9th house. First it gets exalted, then it retrogrades and it comes back to the sign of Gemini. You are feeling more lucky and fortunate to experience all of these things at your work front. Whatever efforts you put in at your work front, you will feel that they have reaped good results, good fruits in your life. All of these things will happen. So in overall, this transit will bring in consolidation, understanding and spiritual inclination towards higher learning, towards more spiritual subjects, more philosophical subjects. So yes, you will feel more fulfilled at your career front. That is why your attention is being drawn to all of these concepts, all of these topics in your life. Your social status is uplifting in some way because of your career front, because of something which you did earlier and now it is giving you benefic results. That is why you are focusing all of these spiritual inclination and fortune, luck and everything, all of these 9th house subjects in your life with this transit of the Jupiter in the sign of Cancer. Now let's move forward and let's understand the transit of Jupiter for all the Scorpio risings. For all the Scorpio risings in their D1 chart, this Jupiter's transit into the sign of Cancer will be happening in the 9th house. And in the first phase, Jupiter will enter into your 9th house. It will bring in expansion in learning, higher learning, specifically higher education, and connecting with spirituality, beliefs and all of these things will be happening. So you'll feel that you are more spiritually inclined in this period. You are more about structuring your beliefs and your philosophy around some topic, around some subject which you like. What subject will it be? For that we'll have to check your Jupiter's natal placement in the D1 chart. Now what happens is this Jupiter enters Punarvasu nakshatra and it starts retrograding there, and it comes back to the sign of Gemini in your 8th house. So what happens here is that this Jupiter will bring in the concepts of hidden world, mysticism, astrology, psychology. All of these things will be happening. So what does it mean is that you incline your spiritual beliefs, you will connect them to all of these 8th house matters. You will try to find astrology in spirituality. You will try to find mysticism in spirituality, where my spiritual texts have written all of these 8th house topics, subjects. What is their perspective on this 8th house subjects? You will also develop a new kind of philosophy, a new kind of belief regarding taboo topics. So what the topics which are not very talked about in the society, you would make your beliefs, your philosophies, new beliefs and new philosophies around it, which you find more engaging and informative in this period. You can also see that you will develop some kind of interest in DNA and family genealogy, You will also connect yourself with some history channels or YouTube. You can also find an old written letter or an old book or an old written material which will bring some kind of information, vital information to you in this transit of the Jupiter. The retrograding motion of the Jupiter, the second phase of Jupiter, will bring in wealth through old materials, hidden materials in your home, in your life. So maybe you were searching something in your home and suddenly you find something which instantly becomes an asset. So you see, fortune through 8th house is seen. Like you will be in some cases finding something out, and it will be a vintage kind of an article, or it will be a vintage material, but it will somehow convert into asset. You will feel lucky that you are having it. You will feel fortunate that you are having it. You can also make fortune out of it. This can be the particularly transit, the period of searching some hidden wealth, digging out something, which digging out a box full of gold coins. Now that will depend if you have that this particular kind of a promise in your natal chart or not, but somehow some valuable thing will be there in your life which you will unearth in this period of Jupiter's transit into the sign of Cancer for the year 2025. Now let's move forward and let's understand the Jupiter's transit into the sign of Cancer for all the Sagittarius ascendants. Now when you are a Sagittarius rising in your D1 chart, what you will see is that this Jupiter transit into the sign of Cancer will be happening in your 8th house of the horoscope. Now it will bring in the first phase of the Jupiter, simply transiting into the Cancer will bring in more expansion and learning, interest in learning towards 8th house topics, that is taboo, mysticism, astrology, and all of these innovative sciences, hidden truths of the world. All of these things will entice you a lot in the first phase of the Jupiter. On the more materialistic realm, this Jupiter will also interest you, will tickle your interest in inheritance, in laws, and all of these aspects, material aspects of the 8th house as well. Now what happens is that this Jupiter enters into the Punarvasu Nakshatra at certain degrees, and it starts retrograding from that point, and it retrogrades back into your 7th house again in the sign of Gemini. Now what does this particular motion of the Jupiter will represent is that it will bring a kind of intellectual curiosity, intellectual wisdom, learning through 8th house topics, and it will be felt by the 7th house. So a return of partner or a partnership will be felt by you. Now it does not mean that a physical partner is coming back into your life. It is more of a spiritual realm. So maybe you are partnering with the 8th house sciences, maybe you are partnering with the all the mysticism, astrology and taboo topics in the society. They are coming back and they will give you some kind of wisdom. They will give you some kind of interest in all of these worldly matters, like how to attach these taboo topics to the worldly matters, because your moksha trikona is getting linked with this Kam trikona. How can you achieve your hopes, desires and wishes from this 8th house thing in your life? This is how you will feel in this particular transit. It can also mean that in some way you are getting benefits and you are getting one-on-one partnerships with people because of the 8th house. So in the most mundane terms, it can mean that your in-laws are introducing you to some people you can partner up with in your business. It can also mean that your inheritance give you some kind of contacts and partnership and you can partner up with those people. It can also mean that your interest in taboo topics in the 8th house is giving you opportunities in the 7th house, giving you partners so that you can partner up with them. You can establish that relationship, that partnership on one-to-one basis. Now it can also mean that in some way you are inheriting something. Inheritance is seen in your chart, but it is not the materialistic inheritance. It is something more traditional, more value. So what it can show is Jupiter's inheritance in your life coming back to the 7th house from the 8th can mean that you are getting a family responsibility on your shoulders. All of these things will happen. So it will be a roller coaster ride for you. I cannot say it will be a benefic period for all the Sagittarius ascendants, because particularly if your career is not related to the 8th house, if the natal position of the Jupiter is in not support of this particular transit, this can mean that yes, it will be a neutral kind of a transit for all of you. But for that we'll have to analyze your chart, where the Jupiter is placed, in what nakshatra, in what sign, in what conjunctions. But Jupiter and its transit in the 8th and the 7th house in the retrograde motion shows that there can be some kind of opportunities, sudden opportunities, sudden things happening in your life. Now will it be positive or negative? That will have to judge from your particular horoscope. So this is how you can analyze this transit of the Jupiter. Check in your particular charts, will it be more on the benefic side or on the more of a neutral side in your life. And let's move forward. Let's understand the transit of Jupiter into the sign of Cancer for all the Capricorn ascendants. Now when you have Capricorn rising in your D1 chart, what you will see is that this Jupiter transit will be happening in the sign of Cancer in your 7th house. So the first phase of Jupiter's transit will give a kind of a expansion to your relationships, partnerships, and all of the 7th house matters. So you can meet new people, intermingle with the new people, and the partnerships and the meeting can also be business based or romantic based. For that we'll have to check the placement of your Jupiter in the natal D1 chart. The other thing is, with this Jupiter, then the Jupiter will enter the Punarvasu nakshatra and will start retrograding at certain degrees. In this retrograde motion, it will re-enter the sign of Gemini in your 6th house. So what this retrogradation will bring in your life is that you will see that someone from your old partnership will re-enter your life, and someone, now this can also be a romantic partnership, or this could be also someone whom you helped, and they will help you out now this time to resolve some dispute, some issue, some court legal matters in your life. So there will be some there giving you service. So it would be felt by you as if a return of some kind of a favor which you did before for someone, and now he or she is there returning it to you with this Jupiter's transit. The other thing is that the shift from the 7th house to the 6th house can manifest that your desires and your hopes and wishes are turning into practicality. So you are gaining control over your 6th house, over your deaths, diseases, issues, all of these things. That is why in some way you are making your life more stabilized and your hopes and wishes turning into reality. This can also mean that a competitor from your past life or from some past competitor from this life only can re-enter. So yes, your particular D1 placement of the Jupiter, the natal placement of the Jupiter will matter a lot in this scenario. But yes, you can see that somehow the 6th house issues are being solved because of your partnerships, because of your people coming from the 7th house. Your business deals and all of your romantic relationships can also be there. Your spouse, most importantly, they can help you in resolving the 6th house issues with this Jupiter. In the first phase, you will feel more fortunate, happy, prosperous with this Jupiter entering the sign of Cancer in your 7th house. You will feel more of it will be expanded. All of these positive things will be expanded. But with the first phase of the Jupiter, what you will see is that Jupiter is helping you out to make the necessary changes so that you can enjoy the life. Maybe it will stop you from doing unwanted expenditure and something like that. But yes, there will be something benefic. If not particularly the benefic period, it will be about protecting, which Jupiter will be protecting you from the ill effects or bad effects of the 7th and the 6th house in this transit. Now let's move forward and let's understand this transit for Aquarius risings. Now if you have Aquarius rising in your D1 chart, what you will see is that this Jupiter transit will be happening in the 6th house of your horoscope. Now, what does this mean? What does this show is that you will have a benefic period, you will have growth, expansion, and spiritual inclination in the 6th house. In the 6th house matters. So, you would want to resolve any conflicts, issues in your life more spiritually. You can also go towards Ayurvedic medicines if you are dealing with some kind of a disease in this particular period. So, Jupiter will also definitely ensure healing in all the matters, be it dispute, issues, deaths, diseases, anything. The healing in all of these areas will be ensured. Now, what happens? Jupiter enters the Punarvasu nakshatra and it starts retrograding and it comes back to your 5th house in the sign of Gemini. Now, 5th house is where your Gemini sign is falling, and it is the Dharm Trikona house connecting with the Earth Trikona. So, what you will see is that maybe some money matters, some debt matters. If someone had borrowed money from you, the person is surely going to return it in this period. There is a possibility of this thing happening. Moreover, the Earth Trikona is getting connected to your Adharm Trikona. So, what you will see is that with practical steps, with practical wisdom, with practical kind of knowledge about the 6th house, daily routines, specifically speculation, your dharma can be enhanced. What does it mean is that your karma, basically your responsibilities, will be fueled by your practical approach, your practical speculation towards problems, towards issues in this period. So Jupiter will give you a kind of healing in all the way, healing in all the realms. You see, be it physical, be it philosophical, be it your any issue will be resolved and it will be healed. And your dharma, your responsibility, whatever you are taking care of, whatever things you are being given responsibility of in this period, you will be uh, fulfilling them out more responsibly and more wisely, with more wisdom and learning in this period. The other thing is criticism. Competitors will somehow make some kind of a difference in your life, and it will fall in place and will give you benefit in this period, because 5th house is a trikona house. It is also called as Lakshmi Sthan. So the exalted Jupiter's effect will be felt there in the 5th house. The other thing is that your child may give some kind of a advice to you which can be manifested as very meaningful in your life. It can be impacting you in a very huge way. Now, it does not mean that that child is specifically thinking something and, speaking this. He or she can utter it unintentionally, unknowingly. And romantic affairs, similarly, whatever your romantic affairs have turned into enemies right now, for all the Aquarius risings, can be helpful in some way. They can give you some kind of help with this particular transit of the Jupiter in the sign of Cancer. Let's move forward. Let's understand the Jupiter's transit in the sign of Cancer for Pisces risings. Now, when you have Pisces rising in your D1 chart, this Jupiter's transit in the sign of Cancer will be happening in your 5th house. And all of these topics of the 5th house, Jupiter will be bringing in expansion in all these areas. So, if any one of you, being a Pisces rising, is trying for a child, they can get the good news in this period. So, all of these areas will be expanded. So, what it can bring is prosperity, joy, fulfillment through romantic affairs, speculation, like you are doing some kind of a speculation related to your career, which is your responsibility and that is fetching you gains. And children, you will feel that my children are your children can be well performing in their studies or in some areas in their life. Now, what happens is that this Jupiter hits Punarvasu nakshatra at certain degrees and it retrogrades. And while retrograding, it re enters the sign of Gemini. And Gemini is your 4th house. So, what this Jupiter will bring is that it will bring fulfillment and those prosperous kind of feelings which you felt because of the 5th house in the 4th house. So, the prosperity, so the money you make from the 5th house will be nourishing your family, will be nourishing your parents, your family, your home environment. And there is where you feel more blessed and fulfilled with the Jupiter's transit. The other thing we can also see is that this retrograde uh, motion of the Jupiter for specifically Pisces rising can get them an opportunity of buying a land which they abandoned some time before. So maybe you were seeing this property, this land, this vehicle also, and you wanted it to buy, but for some reasons it cannot happen that time. And now with this exalted Jupiter being retrograding in the sign of Gemini, after exaltation it will re-enter into the sign of Gemini. So when it will hit this Gemini sign, you can see that the opportunity rebuilds and it also manifests in your life. So yes, the purchasing of land, property, vehicle, or some real estate asset can be happening in your life in this phase of the Jupiter, the retrograding phase in the sign of Gemini, second phase of Jupiter. The other thing is that this Jupiter will bring, because it is your Lagnesh, it is your ascendant lord, it will bring in prosperity in your life, and it will bring in comfort in your life, in your home specifically, and you will feel more fulfilled with it. For all the Pisces rising, it can be a very important this transit. Why? Because Saturn is transiting in the sign of Pisces in your first house, and it will, the Jupiter when in the Cancer sign, it will be in trine to Saturn. So all your anxieties which Saturn is causing you in your self, in your personality, with its transit into the sign of Pisces, will be brought down by this Jupiter, by this exalted Jupiter in the fifth house. When it's retrogrades, yes, the anxiety can rebuild again, but when it will come back into the sign of Cancer, all of those things will settle down again. So for that, I'll make a video in future for the 2026 transit of the Jupiter and again into the sign of Cancer with its progression. But for now, it is a very benefic period. Opportunities will come. You can build wealth, you can build properties, vehicles, you can purchase vehicles, all of these things will happen, and your life will be much cozier, much better than before. With the Jupiter was transiting, it was not that bad, because for you guys Jupiter was already transiting in the fourth house, but with its exalted state and retrograding in the fourth house again will give you more enhanced results this time. So this is how I decoded the transit of the Jupiter in the sign of Cancer and its retrogression in the sign of Gemini. And do not forget to like this video and share it with your friends and family. And also please subscribe Galactic Hackers Vedic Astrology for more such quality content about astrology. Thank you.